I'll say it again. He's just my favorite guy to watch that's not named Jacob Mizorowski on the Milwaukee Brewers. He's electric every time. Just the growth you have seen in a player in a season is unmatched to what you have seen with Quinn Priester. I love it.
He's been unbelievable, and yeah, a must-watch pitcher right now. Is he more your guy than Bryce Terang at this point? I know Bryce Terang's been your guy too.
I texted Mason and Mitch yesterday after the first homer yesterday, and I said Bryce Terang still my guy, and then he hit another homer later on in the day. So it was a good day for my guys. It was a good day.
All right, just a couple of really quick things before we bring on Mason here. So the Brewers and this is per Hunter Baumgart. The Brewers and Nationals played 27 innings this weekend. The Brewers had a base runner in 26 of those innings. 27 innings total, only one inning where they went down 1-2-3, which is ridiculous. And per our guy John Brewers Raptor Egan, the Brewers did it again. Eugenio Suarez over the weekend, 1 for 13, 4 Ks, a .077 slugging percentage.
No, don't tell Sparky. Don't let him hear that.
Listen, it gets better. Brandon Lockridge, 4 of 11, 4 RBIs, 2 walks, 1 stolen base, .364 slugging percentage. So Lockridge, clearly the better player. The Brewers did it again, finding the diamond in the rough. But I digress. Mason, I know we've got the Mason Crosby show coming up in just a moment. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I didn't know if we were going to have my show today. I thought you were just going to.
I was just going to keep going.
With
Me and Tommy are just going to take over.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to talk Brewers now. I mean, pack a day is just all things. So I missed you, Andy. Yeah, it's good having you back. Good cross talking. I love that you brought up the Bryce Terang thing because I was starting to question Tommy completely because I felt like he just fell off the Bryce Terang wagon.
It was just
true. He wasn't his guy anymore.
I
He
am
just
the
started
wagon.
talking about
Classic
all these
Tommy.
other guys.
I can't fall
Terang
off.
wasn't performing for him, so he just kind of moved off of him.
Completely false. Bryce Terang had 5 hits the last 2 games. All right, I was all in on Bryce.
Falling
Terang.
off, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Bryce Terang.
And all of a sudden he's hitting homers now?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
The guy, he just needed your love. He needed your love back.
We had a 2-homer Blake Perkins game and a 2-homer Bryce Terang
awesome.
game in the same series. I mean,
And
that's
Bill. Bill is
Bill.
just back.
Yeah.
Bill is back. Wild Bill, I heard somebody call him the other day.
Yeah, Andy, we no longer call William Contreras. He's just Bill for the time being.
Okay.
So
Did you see that interview where Reese Hoskins? He's giving Reese Hoskins credit for just kind of getting him back in form, and I love that he has a translator when he does interviews. He doesn't even speak English. Bill's just out there.
Bill.
Just doing his thing. He's like, all right, I'm just gonna be who I am, and y'all just have to come along for the ride.
I just wish the postseason was starting today. They're peaking at right now. They're playing unbelievable, and it's really hard to maintain that for the entirety. And so, maybe they need a little dip here coming up just to get that run coming. But maybe they're just that good at baseball. Maybe it just doesn't even matter.
I mean, Andy, they're gonna get back. They put up 25 hits in a game
I
with
know.
no Churio, with no Frelick in the
I
lineup.
know.
I mean, come on. And no Terang was in that game either. Their top 3 leaders in hits. All not getting a hit in the game where they scored 25, where they had 25 hits.
Yeah,
we talk about it, and you said the Lockridge thing, unbelievable. What a signing! What a maneuver that they've done. Because we talked about that before the trade deadline. They needed guys that would play the style of baseball that this Brewers team plays. Stealing bases, just doing the dirty work, all of that stuff. I mean, I texted the guys, or actually, I think I forgot because I was just so excited. I think it was Siegler stole second. Bill hit sack fly. We score a run. It was kind of a weird point in I think the second game of this Nationals series, and then it just blew the doors wide open.
Yeah.
But it's just that kind of stuff where they are running the bases so effectively. They're stealing bases. They're doing all that work where they're not getting into double play territory. They're just they're getting themselves in spots where they can be successful. And I just don't see right now. It's where there is not a weak spot on this team.
Even
There's
when
just not something they don't do well.
Caleb Durbin stealing third, right? Then they overthrow third base. Just something along everything.
Right.
The way they
teams.
manufacture it is stress. That's a great word
They're
for it.
stressing teams out.
The Brewers are the most stressful team to play in Major League Baseball right now.
No question.
From their pitching staff to that, where it's who are you going to face on a day in, day out basis, starting pitcher, and then they're going to be active on the bases, and you're going to just be stressed all day. So On that note, Andy, I do want to ask you before we let you go, what did you think of family night? Was it a good night? Is anything stand out from that night? Are we seeing a new starting corner? Stepping up. Is he corner Brown or is he a safety?
Safety.
New safety. Yeah. Is McKinney done? Is Brown going to be the guy now? Is that what we're seeing there?
Yeah, just do a Brewers type trade Xavier McKinney away, bring in pull Omar Brown up and just prosper. Yeah, exactly. No, he was fantastic. Obviously, having the 3 picks, he's had a really nice camp, 5 picks overall. Now leading the team. Nice. Second is Carrington Valentine with 4. But yeah, he's been all over the place. He's a really fun player. Probably battling for that number 5 safety spot with Zane Anderson. Zane's such a hard player to cut because he's so great at teams. He's a real when he got an opportunity to play last year, he looked really good actually at safety too. So that's a tough spot to try to kind of figure out. But he's earning it right now. And no, I thought it was a really good family night. Seemed like they got out of it without injuries. Again, liked what the defense was doing. Like to see a little bit more from the offense. Warren Brinson, I thought, had a really good night. Their 6th-round defensive tackle. He had a really nice pressure against the ones of all things, too. So he's starting to show up against a better competition. Brandon McManus was 8 of 8, although he did have 1 miss in warm-up. So, all right, this is a perfect question. So if you missed one in walk-through warm-ups, Mason, is that a blemish on your record, or is it only the ones that actually take place once the practice starts?
Only live reps, yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah.
All right, the verdict is in.
Mason must have missed so much in walkthroughs. I mean,
dude, I will say there were times where my special teams coach before a game is just like, should I be worried? And I'm like, nope, we're good. And I'd go out and go 4 for 4. It's like sometimes you're just figuring things out in that warm up, so you can't count those. You can't count those at all.
I totally agree, and that's why he was listed as 8 of 8, so he continues to absolutely kill it. But, yeah, good family nights. Excited for Packers-Jets this coming weekend. We're into preseason football. We had the Hall of Fame game last week. Now we've got, I think, a few more games this upcoming Thursday, and then, of course, that first Packers one on Saturday. So it's going to be a fun week as we inch closer and closer, about a month away from actual real football, which seems crazy to say.
It's insane. Yeah, we're rolling, and we're here for all of it. So yeah, check us out on all of our shows starting at 8 a.m. I mean, we're rolling local right now all day long. So we're gonna be talking Packers, and yeah, I can't believe football is back officially. It's rolling now.
And, of course, Tommy's got it all rolling on the YouTube channel, so make sure to check out all of those shows over there as well. Mason, looking forward to you and Tommy today. I will get out of here so you guys can have the floor, but enjoy it, and we'll talk again, if not tomorrow, soon here as we get back to our cross-talk segments, hopefully a little bit more regularly.
Heck yeah. Andy, I'll be in your neck of the woods Wednesday evening, so I'll be up there in Green Bay playing at the Oneida Member Guest Thursday through Saturday. So, if you want to come over and have your name. Yeah. That beer's free on the course, so I'll just toss you one. You can come caddy for me.
Beautiful. I'll just come show up for that, and then we'll go from there.
Just right
I appreciate you, Tom, man. We'll talk again soon.
All right, see you, buddy.
You bet. Stay tuned for that Mason Crosby show with, of course, Tommy and Mason right here 9 to 11 on The Fan. Huge thank you to Tommy for all the work he put in, of course, today, and just kind of keeping this thing running every single day right here on the Pack-A-Day Radio Show. You can find the Pack-A-Day podcast and the Pack-A-Day Radio Show wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow with Steve Perhatch of the Pack-A-Day podcast. Looking forward to that conversation. This has been the Pack-A-Day Radio Show. Enjoy your Monday, and, of course, go Pack Go.
A Super Bowl champion.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee, on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and on the free Odyssey app.
Yes, it is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis. Don't worry, though, we got Thunder at the Fair from 11 to 2, so if you need your fix of Mitch Nellis, that comes up after the Packers' all-time leading scorer, the Mason Crosby Show. Mason, how we doing today, my friend?
I'm great. I'm just putting something up on X, just reposting, because you do such a great job. Putting up all the social media posts. You do all the YouTube stuff. I mean, what don't you do, Tommy? I mean, what don't you do?
Here, I don't clean the bathrooms.
Okay. All
right. So, I mean, I've had worse gigs for sure. I've cleaned the bathrooms at some places that I wasn't signed up to clean the bathrooms for. But, yeah, I mean, really, Charlie also needs a ton of hype, too.
Our producers are the best.
I would never take full credit because then I know Charlie's going to be like, what the hell? And I wouldn't want to make him angry either because we have a very symbiotic relationship. We help each other out way more, and he'll be producing Thunder at the Fair today, which begins at 11 a.m. They got Stephanie Sutton, good friend of the show as well, coming on over there. But the Milwaukee Brewers this weekend, Mason.
Gotta jump in.
I mean, the Milwaukee Brewers might never lose another game again. I know it was the Nationals, and it was definitely a team where you have to take care of business, but is there a better example of taking care of business against a bad team than what the Brewers did to the Nationals this weekend?
I don't know. There were times where I think I might have been able to pitch for the Nationals and maybe do something similar to what was going on there. I mean, it was insane. And we talked about that with Andy in the transition that the Brewers just stress teams out. From your starting pitcher to like your bullpen, like everything on defense, they're going to put stress on that opposing team's offense. And then whenever they're offense, they're getting the ball in play and they're getting guys on base, and then they are stealing bases and they're getting extra bases. They're forcing overthrows. Like, they are just a team that every time you play this Brewers club, you are stressed to the max, and they're so fun to watch. I mean, it's like I'm like sometimes watching on my phone just as I'm doing other things, and I'm watching the game cast. And I'm like, what just happened? Like, I looked away for 30 seconds, and it's like guys on second. Now a stolen base has happened. It's like, what is happening with this team? And I'm here for all of it. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah, and on top of it, like you said, they bring that stress level, but they also just they are the hitting is contagious philosophy. The Brewers continue to showcase that. Yesterday, in the 7th inning, they put up 7 runs, and that was thanks to the second homer from Bryce Terang yesterday.
Terang out to right field. Has he done it again? It is back, and it's gone. Bryce Terang is second homer of the day. The Brewers hanging a dozen on the Nationals.
A dozen. Levering gets so much less excited as the game goes on because he just continued to watch the Brewers score run after run after run. It was that meme of the guys holding shoulders, walking around the bases all day. The Brewers continue to stay hot. And yesterday, we did hear some news over the weekend, though. Jacob Misiorowski heading to the 15-day IL. He spoke a little bit to the media before, I believe it was game 2 of the series, or game 3 of the series.
Okay.
It was from that shin. It was from when Seiya Suzuki had that comebacker, came off of the leg.
Got him.
And it sounds like he's just going to miss a couple of starts. He's not too worried about it. I do think, however, Mason, there is a little bit of silver lining on saving some innings for Jacob Misiorowski with this injury as well, too, where they were talking about putting an innings limit or an innings cap or monitoring it.
Just shutting him down.
Yeah, now you get 2 weeks off and you miss 2 starts.
Yeah, I think it's wise, and they see the end in sight, right? You got to think with the end in mind. When do we want him the best? When do we want him the most healthy? And that has come September and into October, like going into the playoffs. So you shut him down. He missed a couple starts. You're able to get a couple different guys in the rotation. Maybe just have a bullpen game, a couple times. See who else can kind of fit into that role. And then again, who knows? This could be that opportunity where you get him and Woodruff off back-to-back days.
Yeah,
right. They could figure this out where this is that moment where they change up that starting rotation a little bit, which we've been talking about for a while now.
Well, and Brandon Woodruff, I mean, if he just wants to keep pitching as efficient as he has been as well this season, I don't even know if they're going to really need to worry about it all that much because Brandon Woodruff, I mean, everyone knows he is a guy, him and Yelich, right? Most tenured Brewers. They've been on the team for the longest time. They were on that 2018 team. But Brandon Woodruff right now has been unbelievable in his return after not coming back for almost 2 years off now. Here's his game logs, right? He goes 6 innings in game 2, 2 earned runs, just 1 hit allowed on the Robert Hassel homer. Team is undefeated in games where Brandon Woodruff is pitched now. They are 5-0 in those games. He's 3-0. He has gone a minimum 4 1/3 innings in all five outings In 4 of them, he has put up a quality start, 6 innings, 3 or less runs, and he has not given up 3 earned runs in an outing at all this season. Talk about that, Mason, where did you have a case? I mean, like Aaron, right? Aaron coming back in the game against Chicago.
Yeah.
Not the one against Khalil Mack, but in the final week of the season, right?
Yeah, whenever he threw that touchdown to Cobb.
Yes, that's exactly. So he breaks the collarbone, right? That was the Anthony Barr year earlier in the year.
Yep.
Like, obviously, Woodruff, I don't think is on the same level of Aaron Rodgers as far as history and like importance to the team. But like the juice that everyone gets when you have a guy who comes back who's been out for some time, what is that like on a team?
Well, yeah, he's been out for such a long time, and it's similar to that. And those are special moments whenever you get those opportunities. You've been working hard, you're rehabbing, you're trying to get back, you're trying to stay connected as much as possible in those moments as well, right? But you have to also allow the team to do their thing. You can't be a negative influence, because that's the hardest part, I think, when guys are injured, is just like they want to stay such a part of the team. Sometimes you can see some teams that actually have negative effects whenever they have injured guys that are important players, because they can't handle being on the sideline. But a guy like Woodruff going through this, very similar to that. Obviously, I guess in the scheme of things, with how many games the Brewers play and like what seasons are, it's like Aaron missing like pretty much a full
25
season.
games.
Yeah, it's
like
a
that.
long stretch. So it's like this, it's similar. And then just to see a guy, and everyone has to be rooting for him. Like you said, him and Yelich, longest tenured Brewers, he's coming in just dealing like so good. I mean, like, does he miss a spot? Like, everything he does is just so precise. Even if it's not a strike, like he's just trying to get somebody to chase. Like it's all with intent. It's all just like dialed in, and he is. Like, you just got to applaud him. You just got to be so happy for a guy that has gone through all of this and comes back and has such a great first 5 games and looks to just be continuing to rev that up, because we talk about professionalism and culture and all of that. Like, this is a professional. Like, this is what it means to be a pro, is to be on the sidelines, be rehabbing, not be with the team, not being able to, help them out, but doing your work at a high level. And then when you get called back in, you come in firing, and you are the best you've ever been right whenever they need you the most.
It's the Mason Crosby Show. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 up in the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Brandon Woodruff, 28 1/3 innings right now, just 4 walks, 14 hits, 37 strikeouts in that time as well. Has a 2.22 ERA. The whip at .64 is gross, disgusting. Brandon Woodruff, no one could have predicted him coming back as smoothly and as easily as he has right now. He has had 2 starts against the Marlins and the Nationals in between there, so maybe, let's see what else he can do later on. But I mean, the Brewers absolutely rolling right now. Best record in baseball still, and a great 3-game series for all the people who have said, let's make a trade because the bats don't do anything.
Right.
After the Brewers go after it, they
proved them all wrong.
14 yesterday. I think it was 8 the day before and 12 the day before that, something along those lines. So, 6 games against the Nationals this year, 60 runs they put up in those 6 games.
Insane.
Yeah.
It's awesome when you match up with a team like that effectively, where it's just like, you're going to get.
It's like playing the Bears from 2010 to 2020,
exactly.
Whatever it was, right?
Well,
I mean, it's just an easy chalk it up at that point.
What was that? I sent you that deal about, what was it? The Milwaukee Brewers historical hitting. Set a new franchise record with 56 hits over this 3-game span. And like y'all were saying, like, everyone got on base.
Yeah.
I think everyone that was up at bat at some point was on base at some point in this season.
I think Andy said
insanity.
It was 26 of the 27 innings they had a runner on base.
It's wild.
1 3-up, 3-down inning against the Washington Nationals.
But let me before we go to break, I do want to hit on, and I want to also give the Brewers organization a lot of credit here.
Yeah.
Because a guy like Brandon Woodruff in another organization may not have had the time and space that they allowed him to get fully healthy. because there might have been a moment, this spring or earlier in the summer where another organization would have been like, all right, we need you back. Like, get back on the mound. Let's get this thing going. We'll see where you're at. If we need to shut you down, we'll do that. But like the Brewers were patient, and they brought him back, like literally almost like as a free agent, like as a new signing,
and you remember
him right into the fold.
It was a 2-year contract, knowing he wasn't going to pitch the first year of the contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's just incredible. No one does that, and like you said, hats off to the Brewers for being so on top of it with the organization and the patience with Brandon Woodruff. We'll talk more Brewers later on in the show. We got Drew Wagner coming up 10 a.m. today, as he does every Monday and Thursday here on the Mason Crosby Show. Coming up next, it'll be Eli Berkovitz over at 24/7 Sports Packer Report as well, talking a little bit of family night and getting ready. First preseason game this week. I mean, We're going to watch. We might not enjoy it, but we'll watch at least.
We'll be locked in.
Need a fix of some Packers football, some meaningful kind of Packers football during this stretch. It's the Mason Crosby Show. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis on 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan on the free Odyssey app. It's the Mason Crosby Show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis. Mason Crosby still here. Country Mondays back.
Thank you.
Yep, I can work this to where I know that YouTube's not hearing it, but I don't want to stress out Mitch. He's already got his own deal. He's got Thunder at the Fair from 11 to 2.
Don't stress him out. We got to stay consistent.
Just want to remove the stress from Mitch's life always.
Smart.
That's my job. Joining the Mason Crosby Show now, you can find him on Twitter at Book of Eli _NFL, Packer Report, and 24/7 Sports. It is Eli Berkovitz joining the Mason Crosby Show, friend of the station. Eli, how are we doing today, my friend?
I am doing good. Really appreciate the invite. Honor, Mason, to get to talk some Packers football with you. Obviously a big fan of everything you've done for the Packers in Green Bay, so excited to be here.
Awesome, Eli. Yeah, appreciate you jumping on. You had sent me a post on X and just a DM and just said like, hey, anytime. So really appreciate you jumping on. And since ball is started, we are here. The Hall of Fame game happened, so we will have football now until February. The Packers had family night over the weekend. I was following along, watching some of the highlights, seeing some different things. Were you at the game? And just kind of, give us your initial thoughts, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper of what you thought about family night on Saturday night.
Yeah, so I did not get to attend this year. I wish I could have. It looked like quite the event, as it does every year. But I did watch the whole thing. It was great that Packers.com streamed it this year. That was very helpful. And I thought they looked pretty smooth. Obviously, there was a little bit of, some rough stretches maybe offensively, but I thought Jordan Love looked, most importantly, very healthy. He was moving around. He had that big, long run at some point. It was like an 18-yard run. It was very nice to see that. I thought Matthew Golden made a couple flashes. I love to see Lucas Van Ness coming up with a big sack. I thought was fun for everyone to get to see. And then, you got to mention Omar Brown, the safety, with 3 interceptions in one night. That was incredible. So a really fun night. Always family night's a great time, but I thought the team looked pretty good out there as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, you always like whenever you have a guy that is just so hungry to make a team, and they come out and they're just making plays. And you just can't wait to see what he does once we get into these preseason games. Once he's going against the Jets, once he's going against the Colts, like you got to see some of that cross play happening. But obviously he's just been impactful throughout camp here, and I think he's leading the team in interceptions with 5. So just doing a great job. I do want to dive to, and I love offense, defensive linemen. Like those are my guys. Like the big bodies, they always protect me on field goals, so I'm always in their corner. So we got to talk about like the Jordan Morgan Van Ness kind of battle. What you saw there. I know Rasheed Walker's not playing because I think he's hurt. He's got a little injury he's dealing with, but it looked like Van Ness was getting the best of Jordan Morgan in a lot of times in the team stuff in that family night. What did you think about that matchup and kind of where both those players are at this moment?
Yeah, I think definitely Lucas Van Ness probably got, at the end of the night, the better of Jordan Morgan. And, obviously it's like a little bit mixed because you want to see both players do well, but you kind of need one to do better than the other. It's just the way it works. And I think most Packer fans right now will take a better Lucas Van Ness and a better Jordan Morgan.
That's what I was going to say. That's a good point. Yeah.
I think between, Lucas Van Ness being a top 15 pick and also being in his 3rd year versus Morgan only in his 2nd year, obviously we don't project Morgan to be the starter day 1 anyway, or week 1, I should say. So I was really excited to see Lucas Van Ness kind of get the better of him. That doesn't make me overly concerned about Morgan. I think Morgan is still going to grow into the player that he could become, and hopefully that does become a good, solid left tackle in the NFL. But we need to see Lucas Van Ness step up this year. I think that's just the way it is. It's his 3rd year. The first couple of years have not necessarily lived up to that draft capital, but all the reports out of camp is that he is looking really good right now. And obviously just his physical buildup. I mean, the guy is everything you want size-wise and ability at the edge. It was just putting it together and making the plays and finishing plays. So if he can become, even a 7-8 sack guy a year for the Packers at this point, I think fans would take it. I think the team would take it. And I think opposite Rashawn Gary, it would make a very big impact.
For sure. Yeah, we got Eli Berkovitz from Packer Report and 24/7 Sports joining the Mason Crosby Show. So I totally agree with you. And I said this early on with like Rashawn Gary. whenever he first, came onto the team. And I remember talking to some of the linemen, and it's just like, all right, what do y'all think about Rashawn? It's like he's tough to deal with, but he only at the moment had like kind of one move. It was like bull rush and then try to swipe off of him. And I think that's maybe where Van Ness, and I heard Hafley talking about it, like getting more tools in his tool bag, where it looked like he was using that strong arm. And then it's like, what do you do off of that? You can't just bull rush in the NFL. Like it's not going to happen. These guys are too good. I think if he gets more tools in his tool bag, and I think you hit it right on the head, like Van Ness is going to be a difference maker if he can really, just kind of find his groove here and get that thing going. So I also want to talk about another position group that we haven't talked a ton about, and it's like we all know about Tucker Kraft and what he's done and what he's about, but the other guy, Musgrave. And I know that I've seen stuff from camp with him, kind of being more of a blocking tight end. He's a little bit more big, like a little bigger and more physical. What have you seen from him and maybe some of the other tight ends, stepping up in camp so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been one of Luke Musgrave's biggest fans since we drafted him. He was someone I loved going into that draft. I think he's an incredibly dynamic pass catcher. Obviously, there's, kind of the running joke of what he does after the catch, right? Sometimes has a bit of a struggle staying up on his feet. But I think, let's be real, his first 2 years, he was barely on the field. He was dealing with injuries, some weird injuries. Yeah. And it's just like, if we could get him on the field consistently, I still think there's a lot that we can do with Luke Musgrave, especially when you have a guy like Tucker Kraft, who is going to be your tight end one. So you go out in 12 personnel with both of those guys, you really stress the inside of a defense, the linebackers, the safeties, to cover both of those guys. It's not going to be easy at all. And I think even with all the receivers that we have, which is a lot, I think we still should be running a lot of 12 personnel, get both Kraft and Musgrave involved. I think Kraft obviously a little better after the catch, but I think Musgrave has some more better vertical speed. He's obviously a little bit taller. So I really want to see them get Musgrave involved in the offense because, I mean, coming out, I thought he was like your prototypical receiving tight end. Like, could he do some inline blocking? Sure. But I think he's really the guy you want running down the seam, using his big frame and long arms, making catches. So I really hope we could tap into some of that this year.
So maybe what I was seeing is they're trying to get him maybe a little bit better in the blocking situation so they can put him even in that fullback position, which they love to do. LaFleur, since he's gotten there, he loves putting those tight ends there. Because think about it, I mean, you get them out into the flats. Like if you're, you end up throwing the ball, you have an extra, set of great hands there and can do some really dangerous things. Because Tucker Kraft and Musgrave, I mean, Musgrave can play standing up in kind of more of a flex, spot as well, just with his skill set. And so if you get those two going, I mean, you almost have like Travis Kelce type and Musgrave, and then the Kittle type with Kraft. Like when I look at Kraft, like he is on his way to trying to be more like a George Kittle with his physicality, the way he finishes plays and all of that. So yeah, I love that, and I love those thoughts. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, linebacker feeling pretty good. Is Quay back? Is he coming back off of the NFI list or anything like that, or like where's he at right now, Quay Walker?
Yeah, so he returned to practice the middle of last week. I think he was mostly doing individual drills on the side. I don't think he got involved in team drills yet, but I did see him last night dressed. I don't know if he was really taking part in the team drills yet, but I do think he is pretty much back. I wouldn't be surprised, maybe not the first preseason game, but maybe we see him play a little bit in the second preseason game. And yeah, that whole inside linebacker group was already exciting, but I think the addition of Isaiah Simmons really makes it exciting because it's like if they can figure out, there's a reason he went number 8 overall in the NFL draft. Yeah. He's incredibly athletic. He is so fast. I was at the first day of training camp, and they had a toss play outside to Emmanuel Wilson, and it looked like it was going to go for maybe 5-6 yards. And Isaiah Simmons teleported from the inside of the defense to the edge, totally blew up the play. It was a loss of 2 or 3 yards. He is so good at that kind of stuff. And I think his issue in his previous stops was they wanted him to do too much. It was play linebacker, play safety, play edge, do everything. And it's like, okay, that's great that maybe he did that in college, but in the NFL, it's a different game. Let's just let him focus in on linebacker, which is exactly what Jeff Hafley's doing. And maybe he won't live up to being a top 10 pick, but if he could end up being a third, fourth round caliber player, the third linebacker on this team, someone they could put in reliably on passing downs, that's more than, we could expect. We gave him a 1 year, pretty cheap deal. So anything we get out of him would be great. And I do think we're on the right path of kind of resurrecting Isaiah Simmons' career.
Yeah, and we can't forget what he does on special teams as well. I mean, I've seen him, he covering kicks, covering punts. Whenever I had a few games there in New York, he was just, he was everything on their special teams. He did it all. He can block punts. He can do, he can rush off the edge on field goals. So I know Bisaccia has to be really pumped to have him on the squad as well. We got Eli Berkovitz, Packer Report, 24/7 Sports, joining the Mason Crosby Show. So one more question on Quay and some contract stuff. So there's after this season, I know we're early, we haven't even gone through the year, but it's with them not picking up his fifth-year option, do you feel like they want to just kind of see where he's at and he's going to be a guy and a priority to re-sign and actually get signed to a long-term deal? Or is this just kind of a wait-and-see moment where they might just be willing to move on with a guy maybe if Isaiah Simmons steps up and you have Cooper there playing well, you sign Isaiah McDuffie to a team-friendly type of deal. What do you think Quay Walker's future is with this team?
It's tough because, with the fifth-year option, I don't think anyone expected them to, only because the way linebackers are paid, if you gave him the fifth-year option, he would basically immediately be a top 5 paid linebacker in the league, which would maybe be a bit much. But everything that Goody is saying makes it sound like he is a priority for them, and they do want him around for the long term. I just think that they want to give him, the Packers, right? They're always trying to find team-friendly deals. So I do think they're going to probably let him play out this year on his contract. And, assuming he gets through the year healthy and plays to the level he's been playing, obviously it would be great if he could elevate his game even a little bit more. But I have a feeling unless this season kind of goes disastrously or Isaiah Simmons totally blows up and is incredible, I feel like they are going to try to do their best to re-sign Quay Walker at the end of the season. And who knows, if Simmons has a good year, maybe they could get him back on another team-friendly deal as well, because Cooper, Quay, and Simmons as an interior of your defense is, as athletic and fast and exciting, I think, as you're going to get from 3 inside linebackers.
I love it. So I've been seeing reports, where they're ranking NFC quarterbacks, right? And I've seen some of those lists with Jordan Love as that top quarterback on some guys' lists. Where would you rank Jordan Love kind of in before the season starts? Where he's at from his first 2 years as the guy? Where would you put Jordan Love on kind of a top 5 quarterback list? Just in the NFC. Let's just stay on in one conference.
Yeah, so going into last year, I took a lot of heat because I had Jordan Love as my top quarterback in the NFC, and I didn't have that as a bias or as a Packer fan. It's just, let's be real, a lot of the most elite quarterbacks in the NFL are in the AFC right now. Yeah. Not that there aren't elite quarterbacks in the NFC, including Jordan Love, but, the Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jacksons of the world are in the AFC. Looking at the NFC, I think it was Mike Tannenbaum who was just saying the other day on ESPN, if you're starting a franchise today, which NFC quarterback would you want? And it's hard not to say Jordan Love. You could maybe make the argument Jaden Daniels. He had such an incredible rookie season. My only concern with a guy like Daniels is, a running quarterback like that, not that he can't throw, but, you take one lower body injury, does that running start to fade away? Do you have to fully rely on your passing? And then how does that look? But Jordan Love obviously is more of a passer, but he still has the ability to run. I think Jalen Hurts is obviously a very good quarterback, but I think as just a pure passer, I would take Jordan Love over Jalen Hurts. And then let's be real. I don't think there's really anyone else in the NFC that I would consider over Love. Dak Prescott's had some good seasons, but Dak Prescott, we all know what happens in the playoffs with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. So I really would take Jordan Love. If someone said they want to take Jaden Daniels, I wouldn't fight them. But as someone who has watched every snap of Jordan Love's career, I think he is as talented as it gets. Last year, he was so marred by injury, it was very hard to evaluate really anything from last year. But in his healthy games, you saw what he can do. Obviously, the end of the 2023 season, you saw what he could do. So in the NFC, I think it's very hard to find a quarterback I'd rather have right now than Jordan Love.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, when you think about it, and I said this last week, I believe, the fact that he got to sit behind Aaron Rodgers, right? And he got to learn all of Aaron Rodgers' tricks and all of the stuff, like getting guys to jump off sides, like the cadences, all of those things, and just how to play the game like Aaron. But Jordan does still have in him maybe a little Brett Favre, right? I think he could literally be the combination of those two franchise quarterbacks that the Packers have had over the last 40 years, where he is willing to take a few more risks than Aaron was. Like Aaron took calculated risks and, he would throw many interceptions. But, it's like when I was watching some highlights of Favre, and it's like some of the throws he would make, you're just like, what was he doing?
Yeah.
But he would do that, and then he'd make the most amazing throw ever. And I think Jordan has some of that in him, where he wants to take some chances. He wants to stretch it downfield. He's willing to throw into some spots that Aaron might have been a little more reluctant to do. So I totally agree with you. I think it's great. I always, I never sleep on like a Matthew Stafford, though, and I feel like we kind of forget about him, and he just got Devontae Adams added to his his list of weapons there as well. So I feel like they always sleep on him. I know everyone wants to elevate Jared Goff, but I'm like he's good in the system. Like he's been good with the Detroit Lions with what they're trying to build there. And I don't think anyone's putting Caleb Williams on that list. So I don't know if you saw that over the weekend. What do you think about this Bears team and where they're headed? And I love that the Packers control the Bears even from like their family night practices, where it's like we sell out our stadium and they can barely fill the lower bowl whenever they have something like that.
Yeah, as a Chicago native, I got to say the feeling around Chicago throughout this training camp has been pretty bleak. And for me, I mean, that's as good as it gets. I mean, I'm sure you're referencing that clip of Caleb Williams struggling to hit the net, forget getting it in the net, but just hitting the entire net in general at training camp the other day, which I think many Packer fans found a lot of delight in watching. And yeah, look, obviously there's a lot of excitement around the Bears. You have Ben Johnson, you added some more weapons, you rebuilt the offensive line. And yeah, there is potential there, but at the end of the day, in the NFL now, I kind of feel like your team goes as your quarterback goes. And right now, it seems like Caleb Williams is still struggling a lot to get that Ben Johnson offense, to take that next step in his career. A lot of just the processing stuff, the footwork. So we're going to see how it goes throughout this year. But right now, I mean, I think the Bears are probably destined for another fourth place finish in the NFC North.
I like that. That's what I was hoping you would say, Eli. Yeah. We got Eli Berkovitz at 24/7 Sports, the Packer Report, just crushing it with all things Green Bay Packers on the Mason Crosby Show. So let's go to that real quick before we let you go. Pressure on these coaches. So, obviously you mentioned Ben Johnson going there to Chicago. Just in the NFC North, who do you think has the most pressure from a coaching perspective to have a good season this year? I don't think Ben Johnson has pressure for a good season, but I do think there's pressure to show that you are the guru that everyone says you are, right? So if their offense struggles, it's kind of like, where does that lie? Where does that fall? So just kind of run down your list of the four coaching head coaches and coaching staffs, kind of where the pressure lies.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, no doubt, there will be some pressure on Ben Johnson. I don't think anyone's going to be like, this team needs to go and win a bunch of playoff games. But if it's a complete disaster like it was last year, it's definitely going to, bring some questions to Ben Johnson and his offense. And, was it Jared Goff running it really well there? Was it Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown being so good in Detroit? But I got to be honest, I think the pressure really probably has to be the most on Matt LaFleur, because looking at Minnesota, they have a new quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. I don't think anyone would fault them for having a middle-ish kind of season. The Lions, I don't think there's as much pressure because they've been as good as they've been. I do think if they fall apart, people will question Dan Campbell and wonder how much was it Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn that really drove that team's success. But at the end of the day, the Packers are obviously a Super Bowl or bust team, as it always is. Matt LaFleur is going into his 7th year as the coach now. Last year, obviously, kind of fizzled out at the end of the year. We know how it went against the rest of the NFC North, going 1-5, which is pretty unacceptable. So I do think there probably is the most pressure on Matt LaFleur. And I think we also have to think about the fact that Ed Policy, didn't immediately go and extend LaFleur's contract as he reaches this isn't his final year, but his second to final year. And usually the Packers like to have their coaches signed for more than just 2 years at a time. So I do think it's on LaFleur. I think, to show that last year was really more about Jordan Love's injury and the fact that things did not, finish maybe the way we wanted. So I do think it will be very important for us this year to win 10 games again. And really, most importantly, play better in the NFC North. Cannot go 1-5 in the NFC North. And hopefully at least win a couple playoff games and just show that we're still on that upward trajectory that we saw 2 years ago.
Awesome. Eli Berkovitz, you can find him at bookofeli_NFL on X. He has the Packer Report, and he's at 24/7 Sports. Really appreciate you, Eli. Look forward to having you on again. And we are in football season now. It's rolling, and I cannot wait for all of the fun stuff that is on the horizon. So I appreciate you, Eli. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, buddy.
There he is, Eli Berkovitz, joining the Mason Crosby show. A lot of good stuff there, Mace. And interesting at the end with everything going down in the NFC North, still thinking Matt LaFleur, most pressure heading into 2025.
And honestly, I kind of agree with him because it is like Dan Campbell lost his coordinators. So they're like, if they struggle, this year, maybe aren't just as dominant. You just say like, okay, they're figuring it out. Like it's all right. The O'Connell stuff, it's, they have a new quarterback and like they should be a good team, but it's like, all right, you're trying to figure it out with JJ McCarthy. And then the Bears are the Bears. And it's like Ben Johnson has pressure just because it's like he has had success as a great offensive mind and coach. But it's also like if they overachieve, everyone's just excited or like they're just like, wow, that's great. If they don't play well, it's like, all right, give them a couple years. So I totally agree. I think this Packers team has what it takes. And if they don't get it done, if they don't play better in the North, then there are some question marks like what's going on over there because that is kind of the measuring stick.
We'll keep the conversation going. One more segment here. Drew Wagner going to join the show at 10 a.m. We'll talk some more Brewers heading up here on the Mason Crosby Show, live from the 1250 a.m. 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Yeah, buddy.
It's the Mason Crosby Show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. If Mason Crosby would ever want to pop back on his own show, you could see him on you. There he is.
You didn't talk that whole last segment, so I thought you were kind of bored over there.
We're back here, Mason Crosby Show. Don't forget Thunder at the Fair. That's coming up from 11 to 2 as well today on The Fan. Another whole week, local programming on The Fan, Mace.
I love it. Yeah, we got 5 days in a row just rolling with nothing but The Fan Milwaukee, just crushing it from, 8 to 5 every day?
6 today, leadoff show. 6.
Oh,
leadoff show.
Sorry. See, I knew that, but I just wanted you to say it.
Yeah, leadoff show 5 to 6 today. Get you guys caught up on all things Brewers Braves an hour before each and every game. Make sure you guys download us wherever you get your podcasts as well. Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Now also at The Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. Crushing it over there as well. And Mason, I have a question now. Did it ever feel like the Packers didn't have the most pressure heading into a season when you were playing? Because it feels like that's also something that maybe a high standard organization always faces year in and year out now. And whenever there was, obviously if you went with the head coach argument, maybe you could have some different years where it's not only McCarthy or only LaFleur who have the most, but it feels like year in and year out, the most pressure is always on the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, and as it should be. I mean, they do things the right way. They're always building solid teams year in and year out, and they have an eye on the future as well. So it's like this team should always be competing to go win that North. And historically we have. It's not like it's like, oh man, we've just kind of been underachievers in the North for a period of time. Like the Green Bay Packers own the North. They dominate the North, and they need to get back to that starting this year, where it's just like you go and win your games in the North, and then the chips will fall how they need to. Those are going to be the most important games, and they're the toughest ones, week in and week out to get through and get that W.
What about now if you were to go to second most pressure, right? Now there's a lot of avenues you could go down with that once you come to the NFC North, like we said in the previous segment for the other reasons, like Dan Campbell, right? You lose your coordinators. How can you perform now without your coordinators? Ben Johnson, you were the shiny new toy. How can you perform with your new team? And Kevin O'Connell, who has been praised now for multiple years, based on what he did with Kirk Cousins and then Sam Darnold last year, that he's a QB whisperer. Well, you got your pick, right? 12th overall, J.J. McCarthy. Like, there's a lot of pressure on these coaches in the NFC North as well, just around the division.
Yeah, I think honestly, as you say it, I think O'Connell probably has the second most if we're just going to look at it that way. Dan Campbell has just built something so good. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know if he has pressure or feels pressure. Like he just kind of does his thing. But I feel like Kevin O'Connell bringing in your guy, J.J. McCarthy now is expected to be the man, and he's expected to be the quarterback of this team for a long period of time. And I guess you could say with the Bears, I mean, it's like they have Caleb Williams. They put a number 1 overall pick, into their quarterback. So if you look at it from like coach and quarterback situation, I think, kind of Bears and Vikings are probably 2A, 2B, like where they have pressure on them to have success with these young quarterbacks that they're trying to take to the next level.
Yeah, and the Vikings find themselves in that boat now that the Packers have found themselves in multiple times over the last couple of decades, is that it's not quite a rookie quarterback, but it's a first-year starter, quarterback, right? And now when J.J. McCarthy is going out there, he didn't get to do a lot of physical activity. It was the ACL, right? He tore immediately into the preseason last year. I think you saw one preseason game out of him in which he looked good against the Twos, right? I mean, that's against the Twos, and it's not a game on Sunday. So you got to make sure that it counts when it counts. But what is the team feeling like when you have a guy who has been on the team, has been in the organization, and then now it's their turn? And it's their turn to not just say like, hey, I know the X's and O's, to write it down and how things are supposed to work, versus putting that out on the field.
Well, yeah, obviously Vikings, I think they go how their defense goes. They have a great, defensive coach there with Flores. They do a lot of creative things on that side of the ball as well. So I think if I'm like defensive players, if I'm kind of like, trying to get my quarterback to, get on the same level, right? It's like, all right, man, this is expectation. Just because this is your first year starting, we expect this thing to go a certain way. So like I think JJ McCarthy probably, and honestly, in this whole scheme of things, has the most pressure on him to go out there and not just like bring this thing down to where they were last year, because I think they overexceeded expectations last year. So this Vikings team with a new quarterback, with JJ McCarthy at the helm, leading the way there, I think if they take a huge step back, that would be a miss on their part, because they have a squad that can go and be really successful. But I still think this is the Packers' year to take back hold of the NFC North. It just has to be.
Couple comments coming in on YouTube from Bartu. I've started watching MLB this past season, and I've chosen the Crew since I am a cheesehead. What a time to root for the Brewers. Yeah, no duh, for sure.
No doubt.
Q saying, in my opinion, the most pressure in the NFC North is on LaFleur. Goots sent MLF into a renewal season with a bunch of unproven offensive players. Matt basically needs to make Love into an MVP to succeed this season. I disagree with that. I think that Jordan Love's role is going to take a step back this season. I really do.
They tried to roll it back a little bit last year and kind of manage it a little bit. I mean, Josh Jacobs, and I mean they have. I think the only part the pressure part I agree with. The unproven part I'm not so sure about. I mean, you have Romeo Doubs, you have Jalen Reed, you have Josh Jacobs, you have veteran guys on the offensive line.
Yeah.
You have three guys that are getting paid extremely well to be really good on the offensive line.
It just really feels like they're pointing in the direction of they're trying to change things up and become more run first. And I said that a lot last season. Like the Packers, it took them a while to realize they are a run first team. Like it took them a little bit to realize the best version of the Green Bay Packers is when they're running the football. And that happens a lot across the NFL in general.
Yeah.
But it was like, for the first game, it was all Jordan Love trying to play hero ball. And then you realize, hey, you can go out there with Malik Willis, as long as you have Josh Jacobs and the rest of their guys are doing their job, you can win and be pretty successful in the NFL. And I think they're going to go towards more of that direction this season again, too.
I think Coach LaFleur's offense and how he wants to operate is in a play-action situation.
Yeah.
Like you get a lot of movement, you get a lot of things going on where you want to slow the defense down. So they can't just tee off and come after you. So, and I mean that is not a new recipe.
No.
I mean, play action passing has worked in football since the dawn of time. Like if you can run the ball effectively, you can set everything else up with that play action pass. So I think that's why the Lions have been good. Jared Goff works in play action so much, and it just keeps the defense honest all the time.
It's the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. We'll continue this conversation all throughout the week after recapping Family Night and the first preseason game coming up this Saturday for the Green Bay Packers. Coming up next, though, we're going to talk to Drew Wagner, Forbes Sports, pick his brain on the weekend in Washington, and get you guys all set for Atlanta over the next few days. The Mason Crosby Show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Let's go inside the clubhouse with Drew Wagner of Forbes Sports on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis. Brought to you by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Inside the clubhouse is brought to you by Focus Baseball, because fundamental development starts with focus. Find them at focusbaseball.com.
It's the Mason Crosby Show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, other side of the 10 o'clock hour now, and that means every Monday, every Thursday, we are joined by Drew Wagner, Forbes Sports. Follow him on Twitter, @byAndrewWagner, on the Fan Guest Hotline, now powered by Gruber Law Offices. Mr. Wagner, what a weekend in Washington it was for the crew. How you doing today on a Monday?
Pretty good, man. Brewers, so much for not having any slug, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Right.
I know. It was a tough weekend for all the fans demanding a bat for the Milwaukee Brewers at the trade deadline. I think they're just fine, at least against Washington. They are, Drew.
Unserious franchise, unserious contender, unserious ownership. Am I covering all the bases there?
Yeah, I think you got it.
Yeah, and then I saw, Drew, that we were kind of like, oh man, licking our wounds. Didn't play great against the Marlins. Before that Cubs game, and then the Marlins go and sweep the Yankees. So baseball is weird. Baseball is wild. I'm looking at this Brewers team, and I mean, they underachieved in the second game, only getting 8 runs, right? I mean, when have you seen this? A 16-run game, an 8-run game, and a 14-run game in a 3-game series. I mean, this is unbelievable, and these bats are just so hot, and they're running the bases effectively. Do you think this team just stresses their opponent out and every time they take the field?
I think that's absolutely it. But to go back to something you said earlier there, Mason, you talked about that Marlins series. Look at who the other hottest team in baseball is right now. The Marlins are playing themselves into the discussion. That is a team to be reckoned with, and they're doing it the same way that the Brewers have done. They are building that squad the same way the Brewers have built theirs. Losing that 2-3 to the Marlins at the time seemed like, what the hell is going on here? But the Marlins have been playing red-hot baseball of late, and you pointed out going there and smoking the Yankees for 3 straight games. They're an exciting team to watch on the rise. That said, what the Brewers did, I've never seen this before. I've covered this team for about 138 years, and I've never seen anything like this.
Exactly. I mean, it's insane, like how red-hot their bats are. I was just talking to, it's like, we were talking about Mizorowski's getting put on the IL list, probably missed a couple starts, but then we just have to talk about Woodruff, and we talked about him at the beginning of the show. Like, what he's done in his 5 starts since he's been back has just been nothing short of extraordinary. I mean, it's just unbelievable, and that was, I guess, their worst game of this series where they only scored 8 runs, but they just can't, teams just can't do anything whenever Woodruff's on the mound.
No, he has shut the door on his opponents. He is unhittable right now. It's fun to watch. I mean, we were rooting for him on his comeback trail. You're hoping that things are going to go good. No one could have predicted this. I mean, he has been flat out dominant since he got back from the injured list. I'm at a loss for words for it. This is well beyond anything I expected, well beyond anything anyone expected. The guy has just been lights out. I mean, this is the kind of ace that teams dream of trading for at the deadline. You go back to 2008 when the Brewers got CC Sabathia. He's putting up those kind of numbers.
For sure.
That is #1 starter in the playoffs type material right there.
Drew Wagner, Forbes Sports, joining the leadoff show there here on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law Offices. Mace,
Wait, he's joining the leadoff show, Tommy?
Oh, my
You're
gosh.
just taking over? What's happening here?
I'm all over. To be fair,
Tommy's just taking over.
To be
it's
fair,
the
that's
leadoff
the
show
first
all day,
time.
every
That is
day.
the first time I have done that. It is the Mason Crosby show with Drew Wagner here joining us. Also
I know you talk to
joins-
Drew all the time on the leadoff show.
This is how I interact with Drew. It's usually through the leadoff show. And speaking of leadoff, like Brandon Lockridge is maybe the best fifth outfielder / backup leadoff hitter of all time now here, Drew. This is another example, though, of just a guy that was thrown away, and maybe that's too harsh on Brandon Lockridge because he did get traded for Nestor Cortez. But a lot of, the injuries happen to Sal Frelick. Injury happens to Jackson Churio. And the Brewers find a way again, Drew, to have an outfielder and another guy just step in. We continue to talk about the depth all season. What is the secret with the Brewers right now? How do they keep finding these guys, these diamonds in the rough, that just every time they need a guy to step up, they seem to have one?
Matt Arnold told us last week they like interesting guys, interesting profiles, and interesting ingredients. And they put that together and it works. I think it's just because the Brewers are, to use something that Pat Murphy has said in spring training and beyond, they're a team of opportunity. Like, if they're going after you, they want you and they're expecting you to play. And they think you're good enough to play on a good team. And I think that more than anything, that confidence that comes in, I think that helps guys. Lockridge wasn't someone that anyone was celebrating at the trade deadline, but obviously the Brewers saw something in him and liked him enough where they wanted to add him to this mix. They know what they're doing in the front office. I know it pains people, especially at our station, to admit that, but the guys in the front office know what they're doing.
Man, hey, Drew, no, I was applauding them early in the show because I'm just like, we have to give this Brewers organization and from the top down just a round of applause for what they are doing and how they're building this squad. And it even starts down here in Nashville. I was listening to a radio station here before their game on Saturday, and it was just talking about how they approach it here in Nashville in the minor leagues. I think they're only carrying 25 when they can have 28, and they're just like, we're not going to keep developing a guy if we just feel like, just to have him on the roster, if we feel like it's not somebody that is going to step into a role and is going to be effective for us. So they're willing to do some of the things that are almost like counterculture in the world of sports, where it's just like, we're not just going to use somebody just for that purpose. So I think from the minor leagues up to the Brewers, this organization is just doing it the right way. And you look at that. Hey, read those stats off for Suarez, what he's done since they traded him.
Oh, yeah. Eugenio Suarez, since being moved over to Seattle, has not been ideal for the Mariners. It looks like right here, we had it read off from Andy Herman. Based on his last few games here, it's all the way at the bottom. I got it. So he was 0 for 4 yesterday, 0 for 5 the day before that, 1 for 4 the day before that, 1 for 4 in his first game with Seattle. He has 2 hits coming across. What's the math on that? 21 at-bats right now. And Drew, how many homers does he have? Do you know?
He hit 36 home runs before the trade deadline.
That's what we talked about.
No homers in that time as well.
It doesn't work always just to switch teams and just keep it rolling. Just another great thing that this Brewers organization has done. It's like, and then you see Lockridge stealing bases, doing all of that. Talk about this Brewers team and just their base running, what they're doing in that, the stolen bases, how they're just getting themselves in position to not run into double plays all the time. I talked about, I think it was in the second game this weekend, Siegler steals second, Bill Contreras hits a sac fly, scores a run, and then they just kind of got this thing rolling again. Just talk about their base running right now.
They stress you out. They exhaust you. They make you play on edge. Pitchers have to approach it differently. They have to be cognizant of all times. They tend to rush a little bit because the Brewers are so aggressive. They might miss their marks. Then you have to get off a perfect throw somewhere. It really changes the game when you have to be that aware of what a team is doing on the base pass. I mean, it affects all aspects of it. It's not something that we see a lot. I mean, it was like old school National League baseball.
It feels like old school baseball.
True.
Yeah, I remember when Phil Gardner came in '92, and the Brewers were running like this, like crazy, and everyone thought, oh, they're bringing National League baseball to the American League. Part of it's the bigger bases, part of it's the personnel, part of it's the mindset. People thought there might have been a drop off after Q Berry went to the Cubs this year, but they haven't missed a beat.
Drew Wagner joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis. And Drew, there was a little bit of news, again, to get a little more excited about the future with the Milwaukee Brewers. Yesterday, some breaking news from your good buddy Kurt Hogue over at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, saying that both Luis Pena and Jesus Mate, the Brewers' top two prospects, moving up to Appleton High A Timber Rattlers. How excited should the fan base be for those two guys moving on up? They're just both 18 years old, and they both get to come up at the exact same time. Feels like it's a pretty exciting time in Appleton as well now.
Yeah, it's too bad they're not home this week. The Rattlers are down in Peoria, home of Brian Schaus, so maybe I'll make a road trip down there. But it's an exciting time. Like, those two guys, for all the talk of Churio, these guys might even be better. Wow. I think it's good that the Brewers are keeping them together and kind of having to go through this together, getting, someone to lean on, someone to develop with, someone to grow with.
I heard competition is also like a big part of it too. Like, they think Luis Pena plays better when they have a guy like Jesus Mate next to him who can be, hey, he's just as good as you, prove you're better, right?
Yeah. And they're smart. Like, they have a really good player development system. Like, Tom Flanagan runs that farm system. He does a great job with it. They know what they're doing. They like to challenge guys. They like that a lot of their guys are the youngest guys at their level because that adds to the challenge and helps them develop. It'll be exciting to watch. Like, definitely, if you get a chance, get up there and go check those guys out because they are really good.
I love that. And I love the competition piece. I mean, I think that does. Like, they're just pushing each other to excel, and to think that they're 18 and just going out there and balling like that is so awesome. Let's transition to the Atlanta Braves series as we're heading into that. What should we look at for this Atlanta Braves team? What are some concerns? What are things that our Brewers fans should be watching out for as they head to Atlanta?
The Braves are a tough team to figure out. On paper, they're a good team. They've had some injury problems. They're just not having a good year. It's still going to be tough. The Braves, I believe, played the Brewers pretty well earlier this season.
Yeah.
Tommy can look that up. He's the expert on research and development.
It was 2-1. They lost 2-1 in that series.
That's what I thought. It's a good squad. The Brewers are going to see Spencer Strider now because he got bumped from his start in the Speedway Classic the other day, so he's one of the better pitchers in baseball. Like, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be like Washington where they sold off half the team. You're going to be in there with a team that's got some really good talent. They've got some really good offensive players. They've got some really good pitching. They just haven't put it all together. And when you're playing the Alpha Dogs, you bring your best game, and from here on out, everyone's going to want to knock the Brewers off their perch.
I love that. Yeah, I love thinking of this Brewers team being the hunted and just like everyone coming after them, and then them just throwing out Quinn Priester. Like, it's crazy. It's like I'm like looking at that and I kind of forget. I mean, he's 10-2 on the year. I mean, Priester is such a beast. What do you think in that situation? Whenever you got a Quinn Priester with the start, and then what's the guy's name? Eric, is it Fed or Fetty?
Fetty.
Going and it's just like, oh gosh, I haven't won much this year. This is going to be a tough duel, and their bats are hot. Like, what do you think that mindset is for the Braves pitcher coming into a matchup like this?
Well, the Brewers have seen plenty of Fetty with his time with the White Sox, then with the Cardinals. So they've got to feel pretty confident about it. I think this is his first start now with the Braves after getting DFA'd last week. I got to double check that. But,
okay.
I mean, you have to feel pretty confident when your guy is out there and your guy's been absolutely dealing day in and day out. Plus, you're going in, your bats have been playing really well. and you're going up against a pitcher that has struggled and a pitcher that you know very well. So, that bodes well going into it, but once you step in the box, it's reality, and feelings don't matter at that point.
Yeah, I'm just like when I look at this roster and like just how they've played here. I mean, gosh, like for the last month and a half or so. Where do you see any kind of? Is there a weak spot? Where's the weak spot? Maybe in the in the lineup. Batting. Is there any spots on this defense where you just think maybe if it got cleaned up a little bit, they could even take this thing even further to the moon? Just speak on maybe some potential spots that you just wish could clean up, because we talked about Bill Contreras. We're like, let's hope hopefully his bat gets hot, and he's just been on fire here for these last couple series.
And then that's the whole thing, is a lot of their weaknesses have been addressed. I guess the biggest weakness left would be Joey Ortiz, but he's been swinging the bat very well of late, and he had a very good series in Washington. First base kind of settled itself out with Andrew Vaughn. I don't see a glaring weakness right now. You could point to the lack of power and slug, but they've proven over the last couple games that they have it in them if they need it. I just don't see one right now. Maybe the back end of the bullpen, just because it's been overworked so much, is something they need to address, but I just don't see a glaring weakness right now.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about stressing them, so it's like this team doesn't. I mean, they don't. Yeah, they'd like to hit home runs, take a little pressure off of themselves, but they are fine getting on the bases and just making you work for every inch of every game. And it's fun baseball to watch. I do think it makes it exciting, because you're going to have guys in scoring position, and you're just kind of waiting for something to break out. And when it does, I mean, this team can score in bunches. So. You got anything else for our guy here, Tommy?
No, I think it's just crazy where we've come from now. I mean, Drew, this team was 40 runs back in run differential after the first 4 games, and now they're near the tops in the National League. I know you're probably just going to say, that's baseball, and hey, things figure themselves out, but how did they figure it out this season? And what do you think is a moment that you can go back to, even where things changed and it was, hey, the Brewers are a good team. This is a very quality baseball team that's going to be a force to be reckoned with down the stretch, because it did not feel like that a month into the season.
No, but I mean, I've said all along that this team is better than it was playing, and I thought all along it was going to be a team that had all the makings to get hot in the second half and go on a run. So yeah, I'm going to pat myself on my own back
yeah,
there.
You are.
I think the turnaround, I mean, the Cleveland series was pretty brutal. They were getting shut out left and right. They were playing some awful baseball. They had that closed-door meeting after the loss in Cleveland, and that kind of set the tone for what was coming next. But I think it was just a bunch of little things and just finally stringing together some quality games, some fundamentally sound games, getting a few victories under the belt, and then just going from there.
Before I wanted to ask this question to you specifically, Drew. What would you have in your pocket to eat? Pat Murphy had the pancake in his pocket. What would be your pocket food of choice?
Well, I've been known to shove pancakes in my pocket. That's actually happened in my life.
So that's just a normal thing.
Yeah, pizza. My pockets are usually. There's a reason I wear cargo shorts, and so I love to shove food and a lot of crap in there. So
I love
usually
it.
Covered in sawdust, some loose sprues and change, but yeah, there's always some food in there.
Sawdust and sausage pizza on the Drew Wagner
That's
hour
right.
here. Yes. Drew, thank you so much for jumping on today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk again later today, my friend.
Sounds good. Take care.
There he is.
Thanks, Drew.
Drew Wagner jumps off the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Mason, 6 most hits in a 3-game series since 1900. The Milwaukee Brewers against
Wow.
the Washington Nationals. They had 56 hits. Last time we saw one, Boston and Seattle put up 60 hits in that series. Boston put up 60 hits against Seattle back in 2015. Other than that, you're looking at 1950, like the next time we've seen anything like this. But you remember that series between Brooklyn and Pittsburgh back on June 23rd to 25th of 1950, where Brooklyn put up 57 hits in that series. You remember that, right? That was
what do you? Yeah, Tommy.
Yeah,
come on.
I
what are
mean,
you trying to do?
come on,
Mitch isn't here. Mitch would remember.
Pee Wee Reese and Mitch Nellis. They went to second grade together. Yes.
Yeah. Mitch knows everyone, so he probably has some connection to that game.
He's Oral Hershiser's great grandfather. Yes, I got it. Yes. We will be talking a little bit more about the NFL. Some more PA. New interim director, Mason Crosby, man of the people, always man of the players on top of that.
That's right.
So we'll pick his brain on what I really don't even know if I know what's going on, and I'm going to just ask Mason about it because two things he loves more than his family are sports, ethics, and being mad at people. Mason loves doing both of those.
just trolling, subtle
After 10:20.
trolls.
After 10:20.
That's 10:20 hour. It's like my witching hour. That's when I roll.
It's the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 up from the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Just feels different on Mondays now. Just feels different when we're back in with it. It's the Mason Crosby Show. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis. Don't worry, Thunder. at the Fair coming up from 11 to 2 today, all week long as well. Thunder at the Fair. He's got Stephanie Sutton on today. That'll be a fun one to listen to. I'm sure he'll talk all about Packers family night and the Brewers, who have been on fire as of late. Mason, the NFLPA feels like is probably the most disconnected fans can feel from the sport, right? Like, those are a lot of closed-door meetings. This is the one thing that the players tend to have. Well, they just named their new interim director. Who was the director before?
Lloyd Howell.
Lloyd Howell, right.
Yeah.
And Treader was the players' representative for it?
Treader was the he was like director of or head of the board, for the player side for a long time. Yeah, for a while.
So the NFLPA elects David White currently as the interim executive director 17 days after Lloyd Howell resigned. The union announced White is the CEO of 3CG Ventures, a coaching and strategic firm. That just sounds like a lot of BS. Honestly, like, what is your business?
I know.
What is your
business?
I'm
a consultant.
I just, apparently I talk and make money throughout this process. I don't know where it goes from there. Do you have any experience with David White at all through the NFLPA?
Yeah, so David and Lloyd Howell were the two finalists whenever Lloyd Howell was elected. So it's kind of, honestly, not the best look for the PA. The fact that they were both in the room. And Lloyd Howell was voted as the executive director, and now after a few years, you go back to the guy that was in the room that could have been leading it. So if David White works out, he's interim right now. They're going to keep going through a search, but those were the two through another long process of vetting and figuring out who might be the next guy that he made the short list. It was him and Lloyd Howell. For the last two guys to be in that position. So he does have more union experience. He is more well versed in that. I think what happened was in that time coming from what the kind of the structure had been with DeMaurice Smith and that whole deal. I don't think they wanted that hardcore. I think it was almost like trying to shift from hardcore union lines, because we had a long run of CBA, to building business, right? Building the business of the PA, all that stuff, which now looks like it backfired because Lloyd Howell had some demons. He had some stuff, some skeletons that he clearly. I still don't understand how he was part of a firm and in this group that had ties to the NFL, and that wasn't just vetted and said you can't be get out of that.
Yeah.
I don't understand that part of it.
Right.
Because that should be the most simple thing ever, right? It's just all right, well, I have this job that is in conflict. I cannot be a part of this group anymore.
Yeah, and so that came, he was a part of, I just had it right here, that he was a part of a group that I think was attached to Bengals ownership, if that sounds correct.
Okay.
I'm looking at it right through here now. I just want to make sure I have it correct. But anyway.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the name of it was, but it was a group that the NFL had allowed.
Sorry, it's the Carlyle Group.
Carlyle Group. That's
a private equity firm that is seeking minority ownership in NFL franchises. So
exactly.
they were actively trying to get involved. Apologies for that previous statement there. And now, a week before the election of the interim director, Bengals Center executive committee member, is it Ted Karras? Do you know? Karras from Cincinnati. That's why I saw it. Quoted saying that when they were looking for the next executive director, anyone in a leadership role within our union needs to live above reproach, here from Ted as well. The thing that we have to do is to regain the trust of the players, says the representative of the Chargers, Josh Harris. This is the Players Association. Ultimately, we run it no matter who it is in that executive director role. It's a player-led organization, and that's what we need to get back to. Is it the job of White to dispute that? Is that the commissioner, everyone always boos the commissioner, right? Well, it's kind of the commissioner's job to take the owner's side and make them happy, and you're never going to be okay, the commissioner is doing the best job
takes all the
100% of the
flack.
time.
Yeah.
Right, yes. And so now I'm asking the same thing about David White here. Is it like his job to not be on good terms with the players almost?
I think he has to push the envelope a little bit, but I do think he has to bring some clarity to the players. Like that, his job is to bring the clarity and be the mouthpiece and the vocal, the person that gets out there and speaks for the players. I mean, he is representing the collective group there. And I will say, it's like the biggest bummer here is that I will say the PA was probably moving in its strongest direction in a long time, with a lot of good things happening. And players can't be upset because they have grown the business of what the PA is.
Yeah.
Whenever I look at the NFLPA and the NFL, it's like they're two separate businesses operating like in the same path, right? But the NFLPA has the prerogative. They have their Inc. Players Inc. stuff, and they have the with the collective with all the other player unions.
Sure.
And that was like some of the discrepancies that was going on, right? Where it was like, were they siphoning money off of that, or like not utilizing it properly? I think it's like one collective or something like that.
Okay.
So there have been some really big moves in those things for licensing, for getting players marketing opportunities and things like that have been huge business opportunities for the NFLPA. And that is the tricky part. When you grow a business like that, who gets that money? Like if it goes beyond like what is going right back to individual players, like where does that go? It gets held in the fund so that when that next CBA comes, you have some resources to combat the hire lawyers, combat the NFL, do all that as you're negotiating a CBA. So basically, we heard that in 2010, right? And that's Aaron's favorite word, the war chest. Build up that war chest. And it's like the NFLPA will never have a war chest that the NFL has. I mean, you have billionaire owners with unlimited resources. So you have to work simultaneously together, push in the same direction. And I do think like this, if anything, it hurt the players' kind of trust in the PA, and it kind of it fractured a little bit of that like kind of cohesiveness that the NFL and the PA might have been kind of building at the same time. DeMaurice Smith was a very adversarial like foe to the NFL. He wanted the NFLPA to be completely separate from the NFL, and it being like, you need to respect and look at us as this entity that you have to reckon with and deal with. Whereas I think we were almost hoping as a player union to have it more of a like, let's move this in a path where we're both trying to move the needle in the right direction. And we are something to be looked at because we do have funds and we are building a business that is actually sustainable and good outside of just this NFL umbrella. And that's the hard part that it's hard sometimes, even when I was in those rooms, to, siphon out what is the NFL and what is the PA. Like, because the NFL is like the umbrella over all teams and all of that. But the players are in a sense. And I always tried to get this where I was like, can I be like a, as we said, consultant, right? Can I run my contract through a business? Because it's like the Players Association is different than the NFL. Mm-hmm. It is its own entity, but couldn't get that working just because of how the structure is. But it is unique. It is so nuanced, and you need somebody in that space. And you hope like a guy like David White, who has union experience, or whoever they find has some experience on how to operate this business of the union and like make sure the players and the people and the members of that group are taken care of, and they have all the information, and then they can go to the NFL and to the teams and really have this confidence that things are going to go the way that they've been told and that is expected and all of those things. And then they can just go out there and play ball and they don't have to worry about all the other stuff.
It's the Mason Crosby Show, talking about new NFLPA director David White in the interim right now as they continue the search after Lloyd Howell's resignation just almost 3 weeks ago. I have a question here. on basically when these negotiations start happening, like a new CBA or any other changes coming to the NFL year in and year out, is the process just in general that goes into it. Because I know in Major League Baseball, when they have these new CBAs, it seems like that it's a rigged system in favor of Major League Baseball a lot of this time, where, hey, you need majority rules. We're going to send up 11 people, so we will have a majority, but it's like 5 people that represent Major League Baseball, 3 people that represent the players, and like 2 umpires that are employed by Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
So when that situation comes, and the new CBA isn't up in the NFL, it looks like until 2031, until they can renegotiate that. But like, for instance, if they want to get 18 games in a season, right? That's where the next conversations come up here. And that's where, if you have a guy like White here running, he's going to be the voice of that operation. Like, when they have these negotiations, does it feel like players are kind of screwed either way during this, and that you really don't, how important can this be, and how big do they have to grow this until they get to a point of relevancy? Or is that something that's maybe not the same in the NFL and it works a little differently?
Well, I want to tell you that, like, Aaron Rodgers did not want to agree. I don't think he wanted to agree with any CBA ever, but he didn't want to sign the one that is in place right now as it is, because some of these rules that are in place, like, we don't have to negotiate for 18 games. When they went to 17 games, like, it is actually on the NFL and the rules committee, and like they have all these other committees that can decide if it's viable, if there's TV deals, if it makes sense and the money makes sense. I don't think they have to negotiate with the PA at all to add another game at some point. So, like, the expectation is that will happen here. Probably, I would guess it would happen probably in the next 2 years.
I was about to say, it's going to be before the next CBA.
Yeah, they want to get it in place, because then it's set and it's going to be hard to roll games back, right? They don't want that to be a negotiating piece in 2031 after the 2030 season, where it's like, all right, we are going to fight to say you have to redo this CBA or negotiate for more games.
Sure.
They're going to roll it out before that happens.
So again, like, going into it, does it feel like you need an NFLPA director to be, like, are there, like, good ones and bad ones? Yes, but, like, are you screwed either way? Does it feel like it's either, hey, you agree to our rules or we strike always? Or does it feel like there is compromise that happens in these meetings?
There's always compromise, and I don't think, I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but I don't know if we'll see another lockout or strike, because we forget, like, the owners tried to paint it a picture like it was the players went on strike in 2010 or, like, just wouldn't agree to anything. So, but the ownership locked us out, right? Like, and I think in this CBA there's like a no strike clause. So, like, I don't even know if, like, that's something that we have, like the players have in their arsenal right now to go on strike. And so, and I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know if it's like, because we played the uncapped year, right? The last year of the previous CBA.
Yeah.
So, which was fascinating in its own right. There's still, like, residual benefits that are rolling out to players, like, as we speak. From uncapped years, from different things, like the COVID times, they held a lot of money in escrow just to kind of protect everybody, and then those benefits have been rolled out over time. So things are always negotiated and always moving. The CBA is a living, breathing agreement. It can be adjusted, amended at all times, and I think that's kind of maybe where, and I was in those meetings. I was the rep for the Packers at the time, so I was in a lot of these meetings, and I saw the path forward in hopes of shifting from this combative, union, like, where it's like, all right, we're going to fight for all these things all the time, to trying to be more of a business entity. And clearly we just missed on the leadership, on the person that was hired. And now, I think a David White, you hope that, all right, he has his own business, whatever that is, consulting, whatever that is.
Yeah, business.
But at least he's a businessman as well. Like, he's fine, going out and, like, starting a company and doing all that. He's not just a an attorney or something like that, where it's like all I want to do is fight and be combative and try to get these things for the players, which that is his job. He has to go and fight for the players, and there will be conversations year in and year out of, all right, hey, we kind of want this. And then the ownership will come back and say, like, well, if you kind of want to have a conversation on this, you're going to have to give this up. And then their job is to bring that to the players and say, like, this is what will have to happen if we want to go down this path.
How big of a deal is this for fans?
I don't think. I mean,
okay.
It doesn't affect fans at all.
All right.
I don't think it affects anything in that regard. It's
if it does affect the fans, it's like they're doing their job wrong, kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. It should not affect the fans. I mean, the CBA is what it is. Contracts are what they are. You're going to still get guys doing commercials and marketing appearances and things like that, which a lot of that runs through the NFLPA. So any like marketing stuff, you'll get a check from the PA if it is like, through something that is a NFL and an NFLPA licensed, deal. They'll send you the check for it. So I don't think you're going to not see players doing as much. I don't think it's going to affect, fan engagement one bit. This is more just a kind of, it's like an executive office deal that doesn't affect the bottom line.
Anytime you saw Mason Crosby cut out in a Got Milk ad, it was through the NFLPA.
The Fuel Up to Play 60 was definitely an NFL sponsored event. So I crushed that for a few years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a child in elementary school.
Did they have it in Cudahy? Was my cutout in your school?
We had Ryan Longwell all up and down up in Cudahy, but never Mason.
What'd you draw on me? You would have been the kid drawing stuff on.
I think what is my sister saying, who's in high school in the area now, who's like, yeah, we got to cut out a Mason Crosby there, so they're still using him, right?
Yeah.
I would go up and
they haven't found a replacement
white
yet.
marker all up and down it. Like, I'm sure it's like an old photo. When's the last time you took a Got Milk photo shoot?
No, they had they would have like a full-size cutout.
Yeah,
I was like kicking with the glass of milk. Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, new interim executive director of the NFLPA, David White. We'll see what happens with that. Wanted to pick Mason's brain on what's going on over there, if it matters. It sounds like it will be a big deal for the players, and that maybe you can't do a worse job than the last guy at this point. So... you just hope you have like that integrity piece. Somebody, I agree with the guys saying like above reproach, and you gotta you have to every day earn the trust of the players, because that's the fine line. When you're in those buildings all the time, you start kind of, you move towards the team you're playing for, and the NFL. And it's like, man, I'm playing in the NFL. This is like what it is. So like, you have to have a really strong leadership base for that PA, just to say like, just always kind of keep everyone in check. It's a trickle down, right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's just keep everything in check. But the second like this trust was fractured from the top down, and now like you're going to have to earn that back, where it's like, all right, hey, we want y'all to to say these things or do this for the PA. Somebody, like, there are going to be guys that are going to be like, why would I do that? Like, I don't trust what y'all are telling me right now. So they will have to like fix that. And I can imagine like they're sending all their directors out to all the teams as much as possible here throughout training camp, just to kind of keep that messaging in their forefront, so that these players don't lose hope in what the PA is trying to do.
Quick question here. This one asks, how long do you have to play to be in the NFLPA?
I don't know if there is a like in the NFLPA, you get in year one. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if they make rookies pay you might get refunded your dues after year one. But yeah, you pay dues, which go towards benefits and things like that. So once you're vested, you start getting which is after year 3 years, you get all your benefits starting to roll in.
All right, there you go. Mason Crosby, NFLPA talk. We always just get lawyer speak from 10:20 to 10:45.
Yeah, exactly.
Like. It's but gets the juices flowing, gets the fans more informed. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, we're just trying to inform you, dive into the weeds a little bit.
Coming up next, Mason's Extra Points. You got one ready?
I do, and I put something up on X. So if you want to check it out, it's on the heels of Hall of Fame weekend, and our guy Sterling Sharp, Packer went in this year. So I just posted the question, like, who else with the NFL Hall of Fame over the weekend and Sterling Sharp getting in, who's the next Packers former player you want to see enshrined?
Ooh. So.
Yeah, I have some good ones. Boyd Dowler was thrown out there. Some people saying Mike Holmgren,
Rashawn Gary,
Donald Driver,
sure. Yeah, okay.
Clay Matthews we'll get in at some point.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we'll get to that conversation next here at the Mason Crosby Show, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Yeah, buddy.
What's on Mason Crosby's mind today? It's time for Extra Points, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan.
All right, great show, awesome Monday. It was great for Eli Berkovitz to jump on and check him out at bookofeli_NFL. Drew Wagner, as always, Monday and Thursday on the Mason Crosby Show at 10 o'clock. Tommy, thanks for filling in for Mitch. I mean, you're always here, but get to see you more often now because Mitch is over there at the fair, just crushing it.
Just crushing it.
I wonder what he's carrying around in his pockets.
We'll ask him eventually.
Yeah.
Here,
I can see like a corn dog pocket for.
Mitch's pockets are like every fast food. It's just grease in his pocket,
grease.
So that whatever he wants to put in, he can put something in and cook it while it's going on.
Hot Pocket.
Yeah,
right. There it is.
Hot
Nice.
Pocket. Yeah, Jim Gaffigan's got a great Hot Pocket bit. If you've never watched that one.
All right, so my extra point today, I just said with the NFL Hall of Fame over the weekend and Sterling Sharp getting in, who's the next Packer former player you want to see enshrined? Had some good comments already on Twitter. Boyd Dowler was one of them. Let's see, Mike Holmgren. These are interesting. Like someone said, Mike Madsen said, I think D-Bach deserves to be in. What do you think about that? Do you think he'll get in someday?
I don't know. Did he have the longevity of it? Like
sometimes, I mean, I don't know if that really matters.
Yeah,
right?
I guess
like it's accolades. It's like, did you get all pros and Pro Bowls? Like, he might fit that mold.
It makes sense. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I don't remember if he was on like that all-decade team. You remember when they did that from 2010 to 2020?
Yeah.
It felt like he might have been a second teamer during that.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would be a little surprised, I guess. And it's hard to judge off of offensive line other than longevity. It feels like, that like if you're there dominant for a long time, that seems like a threshold. But you mentioned another name, like it feels like Donald Driver needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean,
do you think they won't take as long as they did like for Sterling Sharp? I mean, I will say now that Sterling's in, I mean, Driver has to get in,
right?
Because I mean, he is leading all things.
Well, there's a lot
as a wide receiver,
right? There's a lot of guys that of the history of the Green Bay Packers. Like you have the most receiving yards ever in the history of the Green Bay Packers. Like, and you hit that 10,000 mark where
Drive's getting in.
He's got to get in. But again, like it's more than 5 years since he's been retired. Like I've never even heard him on any sort of consideration.
Why has he not been considered at all? It doesn't make any sense.
I think it also helps. I don't know if it really should, but in the NFL, it's much more common. But one team, like stuck it out all on one team, also should weigh in a little bit on that, right? I think another, like we'll see Devontae Adams get there eventually.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not a shock. I haven't really heard any buzz about Jordy ever getting there. I don't know if he quite gets there.
Drive has to get in first. And then,
yeah.
And then it's, I do think, I think Jordy's deserving. I think he eventually will get in. But it might be a Sterling Sharp-esque, like kind of a little further down the line than you probably would have thought.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, you got to keep it exclusive to an extent too. I understand. You want only the best of the best getting in. Next year, it's headlined by, I believe, Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald, if I'm remembering.
And Frank Gore, right?
Frank Gore got to get in too, right? But I thought Antonio Gates was like the easiest first ballot Hall of Famer, and then he didn't get in his first year either. I could see something similar happening to Frank Gore.
Yeah, you could see that falling. But, I mean, like the list is really solid, but I feel like Frank is probably a shoo-in on that one.
You would think. Mitch Nellis, Thunder at the Fair happening today. Mitch, you got us over there?
I'm here. How are you guys doing?
Very good, very good. Just wanted to check.
There was no greasy food in my pockets ever. I'm an
just grease.
Right. No, just food. I love food. I'm kind of anti-grease.
Oh, interesting.
You heard that in Athens? You heard that, Giannis?
Anti-Greece.
Oh,
gosh.
Nice.
Hates the USA and Greece. Now,
that's right.
Country here.
Yeah, they don't cook with grease in Canada.
Let's go Canada and Italy.
Do you have any beef pasties there with you, Mitch?
No, not yet. There's some rumors of some food coming today. We'll keep everybody updated on what we got, and the best dessert that is here, I think, is coming tomorrow.
Ooh, nice.
So all sorts of fun food situations, and of course, it's all SummerSlam. You thought you couldn't beat night one after Seth freaking Rollins. And then the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, shows up last night. WWE owns Earth right now. It's unbelievable.
WWE.
You know who else owns Earth is Isaac Collins. I just saw he got Rookie of the Month for July, so I know that's y'all's guy. So what are you thinking of this Brewers team after this weekend? I mean, unbelievable, right?
It's hard to overemphasize how impressive and how unbelievable. And I know the Nationals are a fading franchise, a fading team in 2025. But to go in there and literally hours apart, every time you turned on the TV, the radio, the internet, whatever it was, the Brewers had 7 guys on base. There's only 3 bases, and they had 7 guys on base. It was just an unbelievable display of dominance. And if they can stay hot and keep this going, and the Braves are another franchise that is falling apart right now. Acuna's hurt. Austin Riley just got put on the injured list. They've got a guy with a +5 ERA going tonight. Yeah. I mean, just keep it rolling, keep it going. Cubs fans, keep crying in your own tears. And we don't even care. I don't even care about Cubs fan right now. Just Brewers, keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Mitch, what else you got coming up on the show today people should know about?
Absolutely. Stephanie Sutton from ISN 12. She's going to be jumping on at 11:20, talking about family night and the Brewers. Andy Herman. We've got own Andy Herman. to talk family night and everything going on. It's pretty much the Omar Brown appreciation show today.
Right.
And then Caleb Johnson from, I think, 92.9 the game in Atlanta.
Yeah.
He's going to jump on in the 1 o'clock hour just to talk about how bad the Braves are. We'll probably make fun of the Hawks and the Falcons as well, and maybe a little SEC football. See how the Georgia Dogs, since
nice.
the Packers have 47 Georgia Bulldogs on their roster, just we'll check in with that as well.
A lot of Georgia Bulldogs.
That's a good
Yes.
hit. Was this a real thing? I can never tell anymore on the internet if it's AI or real. But did you see that tornado in Atlanta? Was that a real thing?
I did not.
Oh,
I know
gosh,
there was one during
I'm pretty sure they cleared
during
the
the
stands.
SEC basketball tournament a few years ago.
Okay.
So there are tornadoes can hit Atlanta.
I don't
True
trust
story.
anything anymore.
Yeah,
I
fair
agree.
enough. Fair
Are you real, Mitch, or are you even at the fair?
Nobody knows. Where are you, Mason?
I'm
That's the
everywhere.
question.
Yeah, I'm
I love
everywhere.
it.
I'll be in Wisconsin on Wednesday. Can't wait to get back up there.
Nice. Well, I will drive up to Green Bay, say hi, and then drive back home just to say hi in real life. It's
Seriously,
it's
free
worth
drinks
the trip.
at the club all week.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tommy, did you hear that?
Yeah, I'm
go.
already there. Already there
Say
for
less.
sure. Mitch, have a good show, my friend. We'll talk again later.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, I think we got him there. We're good. All right, Mitch Nellis, Thunder at the Fair coming up right after this. Mason, good show today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Why not?
All right. Yep, appreciate you. Yeah, have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll talk to you early tomorrow morning, 9 to 11. Don't miss us.
It's the Mason Crosby Show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 up in the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll see you tomorrow.
Later.